society looks and deals with mental illness? Yes, it can. It is a community policing at its best. Community policing. Wow. Yeah, that's a term that all law enforcement agencies understand that. And an opportunity for police to enhance their image. Yeah, you're engaging with the community to make changes within your community, to gain public trust, show professionalism, and demonstrate their sensitivity to community needs. That is a very powerful article that was written in 1999. That message has not changed. There's some themes behind CIT, or some uniqueness, unique partnerships, community reactions sometimes of mental health issues brings the community together. Tenacious advocacy is always important. Proactive leaders is really important. I am so thankful that you got legislators and you got administrator law enforcement and you got the advocacy here to make this happen. It's very, very critical. You know, sometimes when you're looking at all the issues, it really becomes a part of me. It's all about me. So if I'm looking at the issues within our community, the people at the table are saying, I have no authority to do what you're asking. My staff is overwhelmed. You know, the case manager is a great case manager program, but when you look at what the case managers are assigned to do, they may have 30, 40, or 50 clients. Give me a break. One case manager assigned to 30 clients with regards to services, that's not case management, that's drive-by case management, but that is not case management. You have to make sure that the people are equipped to be able to successfully do what their role is called to do. I see the same people over and over again. Well, yeah, I wonder what that's all about. Why is it taking so long? I go to a hospital emergency room, I'm there 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. One day I was there for 14 hours. I can't do that. I can't get anyone to listen to me. It's all about me. It's all about me, and I understand the sensitivity of me. But the issue is, how do we turn this me into a we? And the we says we can work and pray together. Wow. Yeah, I like that. We can advocate for more resources. I like that. That's what you're doing. What I am hearing here today and what y'all have been working on for the last several months is a part of the we, and you've got that momentum going. Don't lose it. We can make CIT more than just training. We can change hearts. We can fight stigma. That's the kind of we that we need to do. CIT partnerships comes in different flavors and different looks. It can be small rural communities coming together, forming a county CIT program, maybe a regional CIT program with regards to that. Some basic improvements or goals is to improve officer and consumer safety. Again, it's all about safety. Redirect individuals from with mental illness from the judicial system or the county jails into mental health systems. Now, that's going to be a little challenging, especially when you say, what systems? If you're saying what systems, you've got some issues to work on with regards to that. I heard some language with regards to trying to address that. That's very, very critical to do this. These are some core elements with regards to making CIT successful. You can find these core elements on the CIT International webpage listed under CIT core elements. It is intended to be a guide in which to develop your program meeting some of these core elements to be a real CIT program more than just training. And you can read up here some of the things that are going on. So community partnerships is important. A leader is important. You have many leaders that are here, many leaders that have already been before you. That is good. We honor those leaders. You have a role to play. Not everybody can be a leader. One person can make a difference, but you need that leader, and one of the things a leader does is make sure other partners are participating. You might have that picture up there with the young lady paddling, and the guy in the back is saying, hey, I'm just here for the ride. No, we're going to all engage in this because it's a community. And the community I'm talking about is broader than just law enforcement and advocacy. I'm talking about your state legislators. Again, thank you very much, state legislators, for being here. I am talking about your county commissioners or your municipal government elected leaders. They too need to be a part of this, and their community leaders need to be engaging with regards to this. This is not just fix up a great training and everybody lives happily ever after. Working together is not, CIT is not a law enforcement program. It has to be an ownership of CIT starts with an identity. An identity. I would suggest to you that training by itself is not an identity. I would suggest to you that the partnerships helps to make an identity. One of the things that you want to achieve is an ownership of CIT. You cannot own anything you can't identify with. You have to have that ownership that is merged with capturing the identity of that CIT identity. I want the officers to have an identity of CIT. I want the community to have a CIT identity. I want everybody to own CIT. I want the mental health people for every community to say, oh, CIT, that's our program. We do all the training, it's our program. I want the family members to say, oh, CIT, that was our idea way back in the, way back when, to make this happen, and we're part of training too. It's our program. And I want the consumers to say it's all about us, and we're part of training too. And the CIT program is our program. Everybody should own CIT because it's participation with regards to it. Now, you can see a headline here out of the Cleveland with regards to a Justice Department concern that they're engaged in, and approaching individuals in crisis is undeveloped. Crisis intervention policies and practices are undeveloped and has not yet fully integrated these practices into its response to individuals with crisis, resulting in the use of unreasonable force. They have a CIT program, but the Justice Department is saying, you're not doing anything with the CIT program. Oh, they sent officers to training, but they didn't do anything with the CIT program, and they got themselves under the Civil Rights Division lawsuit. It takes those leaders that I've already mentioned so much about. Those leaders are very, very critical with regards to making sure that the people that are under them understand it's their program. I want every chief across the state to say, CIT, that's my program. And the men and women that are supervisors and those officers that are working as first responders to know that this is my program. I want them to be able to take that kind of leadership role to making things successful. This is about mental health. This picture up here where a group of people is cutting ribbons, that's Virginia. Virginia is not a perfect state either. I don't know if Pete's going to say that or not, but I'm going to say it's not perfect. And actually, they were in the headlines after the Virginia Tech shooting event. You know the Virginia Tech shooting event. They were under a national spotlight, and their legislators caught a lot of attention. Now, they didn't say, we're obviously have a dysfunctional mental health system, so we're going to change that, and next week everything's going to be better. No, it takes years. And Virginia is still working with doing that. In Alabama, you are not just going to pick up the paper and saying, we're going to make this better. Because the system issues and the infrastructures of system issues are not in place, it takes years. But you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. It is 2017, as this message was given in 1990, and I'm giving it to you in 2017. Where are you going to be 10 years or 20 years from now? Is somebody going to be back up here? I'll be awful old, but I'll come back. I'll be awful old coming back up here saying you have got to improve the systems and the infrastructures to systems. You can have great training, and great training will carry you to great things. Don't underestimate that. But the law enforcement officer, you'll see this, I'm getting ahead of myself, the law enforcement officer that walks out of the CIT 40-hour classroom, they always have a graduation at the end. And they have family members, and they have the chiefs, and they have the media, and everybody that comes in, and it's great. CIT graduation, 40 hours. They walk out, and I'm asking the question, I know what they're walking away from. They're walking away from great training, but what are they walking into? Well, what do you mean, what are they walking into? At 10 o'clock at night, where is that law enforcement officer going to take this person that's in crisis? We have only one choice, the county jail. Does everybody have to go to jail? Everybody have to go to jail? System issues and infrastructures is not something that you're going to address overnight, but you got to start somewhere. Somebody has to put your name and your identity and your role as saying, this person has taken movement to making things better. You know, a lot of times people get discouraged if you're talking about something that's going to take years. You're going to take years to do, but you have to start somewhere. And in Virginia, they opened up a crisis assessment center with regards to that. That was because their community got together to make things happen. Crisis assessment center, I am real important with regards to what they're doing. We have a crisis assessment center. We didn't start off that way. We went into a hospital emergency room. We had to work out issues with regards to our hospital emergency rooms and their issues. Remember back at the law? What if all of a sudden tomorrow Alabama just posts a new law that was just created? You know what the directors of your hospitals, I'm not talking about state hospitals, I'm talking about your local hospitals. You know what the directors and administrators of the local hospital, if they're saying, you mean to tell me that you have a law that has now been created that every law enforcement officer in Alabama can determine whether or not a person has a mental illness, and under the statute of substantial likelihood of harm, they can bring individuals into our emergency room? You're talking about trauma. The administrators are going to go to the trauma of the emergency room. That is some serious issues. You know why it's serious? Because if you're not careful, you can overwhelm the local hospitals. So you can't just be saying local hospitals, you're taking too long. Local hospitals have to have back doors. Things, when people go into the hospital emergency room based on some court order, or in the case of Tennessee, law enforcement is bringing them in for an evaluations, the individual is going to be held for further involuntary commitment purposes, or the individual is going to be stopped right there. No further involuntary engagement. Well, what does the hospital emergency room do? Just because a person does not meet a state standard for further involuntary commitment does not mean the individual is not in crisis. A lot of places across the country are saying, the law stops, so you got to go out the door. Well, where am I going to go to? That's your problem. But here's a receipt that your local mental health center, go to the local mental health center in 2 weeks. I'm still in crisis. Well, you don't meet the state standard. You see where I'm coming from with regards to this. CIT requires strong advocacy. Wow, Alabama has some strong advocacy. When I first met the NAMI people many, many years ago, they would go to the NAMI National Convention and they would have a red shirt. And I think they had on their shirt, "No Bull." And I'm saying, who are these people? And they said, well, that's the Alabama group. They have attitudes. They had attitudes. That's because every one of those individual NAMI members from all over Alabama had a red shirt. "No Bull" on the back of that shirt. That was powerful. That was powerful. That was a powerful statement that says we're actively engaged. You have to be engaging. If you're part of NAMI, bless you. As they say down south, bless your heart. We appreciate that. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. CIT officers and dispatchers coordinator, and there's other elements with regards to it. I want the CIT officer to be a specialist. Let me bring up a point.